Hello and welcome to Mind Body Stuff. This is Ula Fitness's podcast. I am Kali.
I'm Bernice.
And we're so happy you guys are tuning in. This is our second episode. Our first one was telling the story of Ula, so thank you guys for listening and for your feedback. We're recording our second podcast today. We kind of had a bunch of different topics we were thinking about talking about, but this whole Larry Nassar case and all of these women who have been coming out with their story, we just felt that it was important to talk about this today and how this actually really relates to mind-body stuff. So there's a lot of different kind of pieces to this at work, and I don't know, I think we just want to have a conversation and talk about why it's so important those girls came forward, not only for themselves, but how they, by sharing their stories, has the potential to heal. And I really think is part of this culture change that I hope so much is happening through women finding their voices and supporting one another in speaking up. It's time to shift the culture.
And it's time to tell our stories if we have the bravery, enough bravery to step forward and tell our stories. Because in telling our stories, I think we have the opportunity to make other people feel that they're not alone on this journey of discovering who they are and releasing some of their emotions that they hold deep inside from past injustices, perhaps.
And not only the emotions that they hold, but the things that they tell themselves about themselves. These things that have become their truths that they've had to hold on to, these young women in these extremely formative years for, some of these girls for years and years and years, and how that has become part of the story that they tell themselves about who they are. And Bernice, you've done a lot of brain research, and there's a lot of kind of fascinating stuff that happens from not only the mind side, but the body side. So, will you talk to us a little bit about what happens to the brain when it's still developing and has these big kind of traumatic or defining events happen?
Yeah, it's significant when this happens, of course, to anyone at any time of their lives, but particularly when trauma happens to children or babies, because the brain is just developing at that time, and it's sort of developing its neural pathways and its synapses. And what happens is trauma tends to get lodged in various areas of the brain when trauma happens when we're young. And so the brain creates these neural pathways, and it kind of gets fixated, like, oh, when this happens, this always happens. It's so the brain then tells the body, this is, always be aware of this. And then you're always shooting that synapse into that direction. Now, that's not to say the brains are very plastic, is what they're finding out in more and more research. But the deal is you have to do a lot of work to change them when we get older. It's not impossible to change those neural pathways, but it takes a lot of work. And part of that work is the becoming aware of the story or of the trauma that happened to you when you were young, mm-hmm. and where it got lodged.
Yeah, yeah.
And this all came to a head to me really the other day. I was taking Kaylee's Ula 1 class, which is the yoga class she does. And
it's not a yoga class. It's a Yoga Ula Fusion class.
Yoga Ula Fusion class. I'm very simple that way. I'm like, it's not dance, it must be yoga. If it's stretching, it's yoga. And she talked about how, she started the class and she talked about how emotions can get lodged in the body, and the importance of these movements of sort of dislodging or freeing up these emotions. Kaylee can talk about it, of course, much better than I can, but it really brought it to a head to me that not only are these things stored in the brain, but the body has stored them as well.
Totally.
This total mass connection.
Yeah.
And sometimes we go to fix things just with the brain. Like we're like, well, we'll just do some talk therapy, some neurofeedback, blah, blah, blah. But I think when you combine, of course, mind-body stuff, then you get the whole picture. And Kaylee kind of talk about what she was talking about in Not Yoga yesterday.
So they've done a lot of studies. You can kind of understand this from a couple different ways. You can look at the chakra system, which imbalances in the physical body can manifest emotionally, like it can create tendencies, it can even kind of shape our outlook on things, but it can also, you can have the reverse thing too. So you can have these emotional this emotional trauma or just events or memories, and they can literally get lodged in the body. And you can start to experience physical ailments. You can get sick. They're doing studies now that actually, what was it? It was like depressed people are more likely to have heart diseases now than people who smoke, because I guess like the platelets get sticky and they clog the arteries. Like, how fascinating is that? The mind and the body work together. So when people experience trauma, it gets stuck in the body. And so what we try to do with ULA 1 is create space and create openings where people can begin to move some of that stuck emotion or trauma or even beliefs that we have about ourselves, and start to move that out of the body and get a sense of release and relief. And one thing in some research that I've been doing lately is that different emotions actually vibrate at different frequencies. And so it's just like, it's like food essentially. So you can have junk food that's super acidic, and then you can have healthy food like vegetables and fruits, some fruits, and it will be alkaline. And so we're working on this scale of like acidic to alkaline, and that's how it is with emotions as well. So when you feel shame in the body, it vibrates at shame is the emotion that vibrates at the lowest frequency in the body, which is so fascinating to me, followed by like guilt and anxiety, anger, grief. All of those emotions vibrate at really low frequencies, and they get stuck in the body, and they make you sick. They make the physical body less healthy. So when we think about these girls who have stored these feelings like fear, like shame, it's in a way making them sick. And so mind-body practices such as ULA 1 are so important to then just give this opportunity for not only the brain to heal, but for the body to heal from these types of traumas.
And I have to talk from personal experience. Don't get excited. It's not that exciting. I tend to be a dancer, so I do ULA, and I'm like, I just love ULA. I love dancing. That's all I need. That's all I need in my life. I'm so happy, and it is a great release for many of my emotions. But I have to say, when I do ULA 1, and I've told this to Kaylee before, I'll have these profound experiences doing these stretches sometimes where I almost feel either anger or sadness or shame or guilt will sort of radiate. I feel the emotion radiating through my body, kind of doing the stretch. And then after class, and it's not like this after I do regular ULA, after ULA 1, I feel kind of shaky. Like, I'm kind of like all...
She's ravenous, too.
And I'm so hungry.
You're so hungry.
Like, someone has
so much
starved
food.
me. Like, it's done something to my blood sugar or something.
Yeah, it's crazy. Because you don't get hungry after Ula. You can Ula all day.
I can Ula all day, and it makes me not hungry, actually. I don't have to eat. But so whatever is happening with those, because I'm the type of person that's like, I don't need to stretch. I don't need that. I don't need any of that work. But really, it is, I can physically feel it.
Yeah.
Dislodging things.
Yeah. And I mean, we can definitely experience this in Ula as well. So people absolutely have cathartic experiences. They can heal, they can go to these deep layers within themselves and bring it to the surface in a healthy way. That can absolutely happen through Ula. I think the interesting thing about Ula 1 is it asks you to really slow down, which is hard for people.
What? Slow down?
It asks us to soften. So that's a cue that I use a lot is soften, soften, soften. We as women, for as long as, for a very long time, probably not the cave women, but I mean, think about just like girdles, corsets, modern day Spanx. We as women are told that everything needs to be held in tight. It needs to be tight. That, we're expected to always be fine. And with Ula 1, you're asked to look at yourself in the mirror. You're asked to move very slowly, to feel every single part of the movement, to soften. Like, so everyone, wherever you're sitting, if you just sit up nice and straight, and then draw your belly button into your spine so that your core is tight, and then just take a twist. So just twist to one side. Okay, now come back to center. Now let the belly be soft and come back to that twist.
Whoa.
Do you notice the difference? So what did you notice, B?
I stretched way further. I could go further.
Yeah, and so something like a twist, so you could just turn further.
I could turn further, yeah.
So something like a twist, when we do twists, it's literally like, imagine you're taking a towel and you're wringing it out. And so this wringing out is super detoxifying for the body. So if we that's one tiny example that we invite softness into the body, or we invite softness into the space. When you allow yourself to be soft, you can get to these deeper layers and levels of who we are and release it. And so that's part of the reason why some people are like, I burst into tears when I did a twist. Why is that? Well, because you're not only doing something that's beneficial for your physical body, but you're tapping into those deeper layers of emotions that have been stored in there and letting them go. And the reason we use, for the most part, more sad or introspective music for Ula 1 is because I feel like music can take something that may feel not so great or maybe even a little bit scary, and the music creates this safe space, but it also adds an element of beauty to it. Mm-hmm. And I think there's something really special about that. Experiencing this type of healing or even just awareness with others who are also in their bodies, in their, going inward and experiencing whatever's coming up for them. I think when you can do it to music, it takes it to that next place that makes it enjoyable. That makes some of this stuff really enjoyable.
And accessible, I think.
And accessible, yeah.
Yeah, so, and I think it goes back to how we as women are taught to be sort of like, I'm fine.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's kind of how I approach my life sometimes.
People don't like women who are like super messy.
Oh, I hate it. Like, oh, wow. And you're emotional and messy. Like, keep it together. But I have to go back to the Nassar trial, listening to these women who had the courage to come forward to tell their stories, to be messy as they told their stories.
Women who have been expected to be tight and perfect.
Oh, yes.
Like, even their movements have to be tight. Everything has to be tight.
Yes.
Think about what they're storing inside of those little bodies.
Those little, tight, strong bodies, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. And the emotion that they had stored deep, they were just not taught. Nobody stood up for them for whatever reason, and now they...
Well, not only just maybe didn't stand up, but they were too afraid. They were too afraid to tell anyone, too, because they didn't want to ruin their careers. So then they're adding that element of fear.
Of shame.
And too. Shame and fear.
Shame and fear on top of everything.
Or they were so young and their brains weren't developed enough yet to even understand that this is very wrong.
Mm-hmm. Good
point.
They
trusted the system. Mm-hmm. They trusted these people who they thought they were in good hands.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And they gave it their all.
Yeah. And so going back to these women, and this is like, for me, thinking about mind body stuff and how it relates to the body, the act of them even going up and sharing their testimony, some of the women shared and spoke at the trial, but imagine how many women didn't even maybe share their testimony, but maybe they were allowed to then write it out. Maybe they wrote out their testimony and didn't go up and speak, or maybe they were just allowed to relive the experience in a way that made them feel not alone, that showed them that this isn't a shame that they need to carry by themselves.
Mm-hmm. They represented and modeled for all the other women, because they're saying these were like 160 women that spoke, and this is, how many more women did he affect?
Right.
There's research on the importance of just sometimes, let's take it from the beginning, sometimes just hearing someone else tell a story that's similar to your story is cathartic and healing. Mm-hmm. Just that in and of itself. Mm-hmm. So when you have the courage, and when those women had the courage to tell their story, they helped thousands of millions of other women in their own way, just hearing someone with the same story. And now we take it one step further. The women that wrote their stories. Mm-hmm. So then you take time to write the story down. Then you see it, you're writing it, you're thinking it, you're processing it. Mm-hmm. Again, another huge step is sort of owning your story and working with some of those stored emotions. Mm-hmm. And then the final step, if it works for everyone, and it doesn't, of course, but those that have the courage to step forward and then vocalize their story, takes it one step further in moving those emotions further and further through the body and through the mind and into the healing process of getting it out into the open. But again, going back to just someone hearing your story and then it relates to them, they just hear that story, that's healing in and of itself, because then they know, I'm not alone.
Yeah.
I'm not alone in this.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like, Allie, what's her last name? I can't remember.
Reisman,
I think so. So her story got a lot of press, and it was, it was awesome. Larry. Excuse me, Larry. I love that she just called him out by his name over and over again. Larry.
And she just looked right at him.
So it's interesting to me too, because, I've been thinking, I've been doing a lot of reading lately and thinking and pondering and whatever. And so I think we can all pretty much agree that the majority of major religions consider forgiveness to be one of the most important of the emotions, or powerful, or virtued.
And a big tenet. Is it tenet? Is that the word? A tenet or tenet of the religion? Like most
right.
religions.
They usually preach forgiveness.
That's kind of a core understanding. Like
Yeah, and it's interesting because there was that one woman, and she said that she's gotten to the point of forgiveness with him, and man, that is hard.
Yeah,
I think we all are just so mad right now that we're all kind of relating to what, like, we're like, yes, Allie, but oh my gosh, can you imagine that girl who's gotten to the point of forgiveness with him? Like, that's, I think I'm too lowly of a human being to...
I'm stuck in the anger phase. I'm a simple angry woman. That's how I am.
Yeah. I don't know. I found that fascinating that they're all kind of at different points of their journey. And don't you think that anger is kind of like, the way that I see it is some of the more like outputting emotions, like anger, like these ones that have they have a force behind them. They kind of are the front to the more inner emotions behind them, like the sadness, like the guilt, like the shame. Those are usually harder to project outward. And so it's just kind of fascinating to see where different people are on their spectrum with where they're at. And not to say that Allie's not, not far along in her progress. I think that she's just, she said what we needed to hear, and I think she called him out, and I think that we all were like, you go, girl, like, use your voice. I just, it was just fascinating, or kind of interesting to me to think, I wonder if I could get to that place of forgiveness like that one girl did. I don't know if I could.
I don't know if I could either. I
mean, like I said, I'm a lowly human.
A lowly, angry human. I like to work on I like the fire there. My husband's always like, calm down, as I shout at the TV over and over again. It's like, I could change it if I can just, they can hear me. Larry, can you hear me through the TV, Larry? I'm coming at you. When we were talking about forgiveness too, it reminded me of the Truth and Reconciliation trials. Do any of you remember that? In South Africa, Nelson Mandela was a part of those trials. It was in the mid-90s. Desmond Tutu was on the commission, I believe, at some point. Anyway, they tried in South Africa to do sort of a cultural healing with truth and they called it Truth and Reconciliation. It's kind of morphed into forgiveness and reconciliation, where they would bring the perpetrators and the victims together, the perpetrators of the crimes that happened in South Africa and the victims' families together. And there would be, a talking and a processing. Because, of course, forgiveness is never forgetting. Forgiveness is owning and remembering and honoring and sitting with the trauma, whatever has happened. But then, of course, taking it, if you can, into reconciliation, so that you can, so your being isn't consumed with anger and hatred. Because, of course, when heinous crimes are committed, like Larry, like the crimes that happened in South Africa, it just becomes completely overwhelming and dominates, your life. So I thought that was a really interesting that they attempted that in South Africa. Culturally, there's been some feedback. Some people didn't like it because people want perpetrators to be, to be punished for their crimes, for the murdering of these people. Yeah. But you can see that there's, we're trying to find a balance here between, now we go back to Larry. Yeah. What made Larry do what Larry did?
Yeah. And I think that is one thing. First, I read the other, I can't remember where I read it. I wish I remember, but it said anger is the immune system of the soul. So anger alerts us when something is not right, when something feels like unjust or that it's not okay. So I think anger is such a good tool for us to use, but we can't stay stuck in that anger. And in this other book that I'm reading, it's called Loyalty to Your Soul, and what they say is anything that disrupts your peace is your lesson. So I'm trying to figure out where my thoughts lie with that. This is upsetting to me, this whole case, but I don't know what my lesson is with this. Maybe my lesson in this is that we need to keep doing the work that we're doing, empowering women to use their voices, to speak up, that we need to do it we need to support each other in this, because as soon as those women started speaking up, how many were there at the beginning? How many were there at the end? The more people who started to speak their truths and their stories, the more stories came out. So we've got to do this work. We have to do this work, and we need a cultural shift with all this Me Too stuff, with this Larry stuff. There has to be a shift, and I think that women and men, all of us, need to get behind this, and part of it is women just sharing.
Yeah, just sharing, and that's why anger of course, like we were saying, you don't want to get stuck in anger, but anger is the fire, anger is the fuel. It pushes you forward.
Yeah, it gives you fuel.
It gives you fuel to stand up and face the Larrys of the world.
Yeah.
And then you can move forward past that. But I think that's our first fire. That's like you said, it's the
immune system
of the soul.
Yeah, and so the Shavasana song, the song that I played at the end of class, it's called Broken. And there is something so broken in Larry. And I hate Larry. I do not like this man, obviously. But there's another part of me that has to wonder what happened to this man that he became this monster. Why, when he started to have these really disturbing and sick thoughts and desires, why didn't he ask for help? And he must have a whole deal of shame he's dealing. I mean, when you watch him, he knows what he did was wrong. Sometimes you can see those, like, I feel like serial killer monsters who are just like dead behind their eyes, and and they don't seem like they are
processing.
Even nothing's happening back there.
That
but I feel like Larry must have some shame. He must have some serious feelings going on there too. Why didn't he have the courage to ask for help before he did this over and over again? Like, why couldn't Larry come out and say, I am broken and I need help? And didn't you say that's what, like, the judge said? She said, Larry, you could have gotten help anywhere. You have tons of money. You could have gotten help.
She was so great how when she was confronting him prior to reading the sentencing, she just said, and Larry, all the money and everything you had, you could have easily asked. I mean, you could have asked for help, and you could have gone someplace secret.
Yeah,
they have places where you can go and go to the plantation or whatever, or go to the ranch, the hidden ranch, and get therapy and get help. But you chose not to. Mm-hmm. The other thing is that somehow our system has failed us too, Yeah. And I think that's why we have this Me Too movement, this anger boiling up, because it's like, this has been happening forever. And finally, all of us it's coming to the forefront. It's like, enough is enough.
Yeah.
We're done with this.
Yeah. Yeah. And kind of like what we talked about with our last podcast, the darkness is necessary. The darkness shows us the way to the light almost. Like, this stuff needs to come up to the surface. And I make sure that I understand why I do what I do. I make sure that I am very clear in my intention of why ULA 1, why trainings, what is the intention behind what I'm doing, and what's the value? Am I adding value? Is it worth time away from my children, etc.? And I believe more than ever, the more I research the mind-body connections and all that's happening, and learn about dance therapy and etc., the more I wish that people took the time to take care of themselves. Because Larry has some pretty bad demons in there, which I wonder, had Larry actually taken the time to do his healing work, and if he had the courage to go inside and open those doors that may have been scary to him, so that he could heal himself, so he didn't have to either continue the cycle. I don't know what happened to Larry when he was a kid, but could he break the cycle somehow, or could he heal heal himself in some way so that he didn't do this? And so more than ever, I believe that we need to be doing our own work. We have got to put the personal work in. We've got to take the time to make ourselves the best version and the most healthy beings that we can. Because it's things like greed. It's things like, I feel like so many of the world's problems that we're experiencing right now come from a lack, a deficiency inside or internally, or unhealed stuff that's going on, that's stuck in the body, where people are sick, people are doing terrible things to each other. And I do think that it starts at home. You have to put the work in at home.
You do. And this year has been a dark year.
Oh my gosh, it's been so crazy.
And very discouraging. Part of it's very discouraging, but I have to go back to what you
How
said.
many times have I thought I wanted to just become a fairy that lives under a mushroom?
Yeah,
in a
she's
magical
always like,
forest?
I'm moving now. I'm moving. I'm like, no, you're not moving because you're doing the work. But you're going to sit here and do the work and shine the light because, and you're exactly right. The darkness, it's been a dark year, but we need to be aware of the darkness because I think for a while we were all kind of like, well, it's kind of nice out here. Got a little rainbow in the corner over there. Got some sun on the left, but no. Suddenly realized, oh no, there's a lot of darkness I at least wasn't aware of, and that calls to all of us to pick up your lights, pick them up, because you got to start shining them.
I think part of that is also a product of where we live. I mean, we have to say that we are very privileged white women who live in a peaceful mountain town.
Very true.
So I don't want to, downplay the hardships and the, all of the different things that people have been experiencing. But I think for us, coming from a very simple little town
here in Montana. But no, it's true. And I think, I'm ashamed that I wasn't aware.
Right.
As aware as I should be.
Totally.
Of the darkness.
But and now we know.
And now we know.
And now we can't unknow this. And that's where the work needs to continue to go. Is now that we know, it is our responsibility. But the work does start at home. It is mind, body stuff. We have to care for the full being. We have to care for ourselves. We need to create space in ourselves to look at some of the harder stuff. We need to do it in safe spaces. We need to do the work. And it's not it's not selfish. And this is something that I keep going back to. It's not selfish. And when we feel like we can not only look at our own story, but when we have the courage then to redefine it or to reframe it, to say, no, I'm not a whatever person. I went through this horrible experience, but I'm not going to carry this shame anymore. This is not mine to carry. But what I can do is tell my story, and may that give some peace to other people, so they don't feel so alone and locked in their little this space that doesn't feel good. That isn't actually who they are. It's something that happened to them.
The gift of sharing your story.
Yeah, and there's a quote that I love that says, I'm probably not getting it totally right, but it says, sharing your story can be the key that unlocks someone else's prison.
Thank you to all those brave women and girls that shared their stories. You light the light really for all of us, and, show us through your example that we too can share our stories if we wish, and it's just been an incredibly healing journey to hear them, particularly for me, and I'm sure for many of you.
Yeah. I want to read one final passage by Tanya Markle. I'm holding space for you, sister. I'm not the kind of woman who will look away when you talk about rape, abuse, or addiction. I won't flinch when you walk in covered in dirt, muck, and inner. I won't judge your story of neglect, betrayal, or trauma. I won't try to rewrite your suicidal thoughts or self-hatred. I won't ignore your cry. I won't back away from your drool, vomit, or blood. I won't deny the relationship you have with your womb, work, or the unseen. I won't belittle your body image or self-wisdom. I won't pretend I have an answer for you. I won't compare your divorce, breakup, or loss to another. Because I believe you. I believe you when you say what you've been through. I believe you when you say what's carrying you through. I believe it when you say that you've tried, you want to, and that you will. I believe you now, and I will continue believing in you. Because I am the kind of woman who holds space for you, sister. So thank you to the space holders as well. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We will join you for the next episode of Mind Body Stuff. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, we appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks. Bye-bye.